In the 1500s, England was ruled by King Henry VIII. He came into conflict with the Pope, the head of the Catholic Church. Eventually, this conflict caused Henry to break away from the Catholic Church and create a new Christian church just for England. This English church became known as the Anglican Church. The conflict started over succession to the throne, or who would become king after Henry died. Henry's royal power was supposed to be passed down to his son. Henry was married to a woman named Catherine of Aragon. Catherine and Henry had 6 children together, but only one, a girl named Mary, survived. This was a problem for Henry. He wanted to have a son so royal power would stay in his family. The problem was, Catherine of Aragon was too old to have any more children. So Henry wanted to marry another woman, a younger woman named Anne Boleyn, so that he could have more children. In 1527, Henry asked the Pope to approve of a divorce between him and Catherine so that he could marry Anne Boleyn instead. The Pope refused. He wouldn't give Henry a divorce because Catherine of Aragon was the aunt of the Holy Roman Emperor Charles V. Why does this matter? The Pope relied on Charles V for protection, and Charles V wanted his Aunt Catherine to stay the Queen of England. So, the Pope refused to give Henry a divorce from Catherine because he didn't want to upset his protection, Charles V. So, in response, Henry, angry at the Pope, passed a series of laws that separated the English Church from the Pope and the Catholic Church. In 1534, he passed a law called the Act of Supremacy, and this made Henry the head of the English Church. The English Church actually kept many Catholic rules and traditions, but instead of having the Pope in charge, Henry VIII would be in charge because he was the king. Many Catholics living in England were upset by the new church. One man in particular, Thomas More, was executed for treason in 1535 for speaking out against the new church. Henry did what he could to strengthen the English Church and weaken the Catholic Church. He closed monasteries and convents, seized their land, and took power away from the Catholics to give it to himself. Henry would end up actually getting married 4 more times. He had a very complicated family tree, but he only had 2 more children. He had a daughter, Elizabeth, and he also had a son named Edward. When Henry died in 1547, his 9-year-old son, Edward, who was a Protestant, became king. Edward died very young, in his teens, and then Henry's first daughter, Mary, from his first marriage with Catherine of Aragon, took over. Mary was a Catholic, and she tried to bring back Catholicism to England. She even burned hundreds of Protestants at the stake because of their religion. These cruel actions earned Mary the nickname of Bloody Mary. When Mary died in 1558, Henry's other daughter, Elizabeth, took control of England. Now, Elizabeth was a Protestant, and she knew that some people in England were Protestant and some were Catholic. So what she did when she was in charge of England, she mixed together Protestantism and Catholicism to try to please most people. And she created the Anglican Church, which today still stands as the official Church of England.